Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so see this many of the people are okay with this. Yes. And one more point, can you see the screen also, right? Just one or two members, if you confirm it, that would be great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, so welcome back. So this is about our Python journey. So whatever we are trying to learn that. But before the moving to that one more step of the Python, so let's try to understand that what we had it yesterday, and then we'll continue. Yes, we were understanding the so far importance of the programming. Yeah, that is, these kind of applications or the activities to implement it, programming is going to helping that. But the activities which we can do that GUI based, CLI based, and script based. But finally, what is the expectation from AWS developer point of view or a DevOps engineer point of view? So what is the expectation from the team that is implementing automation scripts? But to implement it automation scripts, the first you need to know that the manually how do you perform that activity. Then you should able to convert into that the command line interface, and those commands you can define in the scripts. So this is a normal process. We follow that on the base of the problem statements. Yeah, first if you are able to convert the problem statement into that, the skeleton kind of the programming, that is a normal English statements, if you are able to define it, then you can use it, the particular programming language, that is a Python or shell scripting or Java, to define the solution document. Yeah, first understanding that the problem statement is very, very important. But whenever you are analyzing that, the problem statement to provide the solution, so you need to identify the inputs which are required. That's we say that like variables. And once that's inputs have been identified, what are the different operations that we need to perform it? That's we say that the functions or the methods. But the functions, whenever we are defining that without arguments, with arguments. So that's as we are understanding, this is an example for with arguments. Yes. So whenever you are invoking this function, you need to pass the arguments for it. And this function is without arguments. So here we are not passing any arguments over here. Yeah, identifying that the functions which are required to implement for that problem statement is required arguments or not. So without arguments, identifying about it, and then implementing the statements. So where do we write that finally the statement that is within the function? Function is group of statements which are defined for the particular activity. Yeah, defining that instructions of the statements, but whenever we are defining that those statements, so some cases we need to write it the condition based statements, that is if else blocks, or a nested if else. We have different approaches, that is, but to understand the high level conditional statements, or maybe like iterations which we need to write it. Iteration is the same block of the statement, so starting from that one index and ending that in another index. So a range of activities performed in that. Yeah, so there are some important keywords we are trying to understand that the overall the yesterday. So before starting the programming. So are you clear about that? All these the terminologies. What is a static variable or dynamic variables? So whatever that the line of the statement we are defining is nothing but that we say that instruction to the computer or interpreter. Yeah, statements or the instructions. And whenever we are defining that like operations, yes. So left side we use it like assign in the value, and the right side is, so you can define the statement. So the statement, once it has been executed, the value which will be assigned to this variable. So that's we say that left operand, right operand. Suppose we are performing that operation here, that is add operation. So this one we say that left operand, and this is the right operand. Finally, this is one instruction to the programming, and this once this instruction has been executed, so what are that output we are getting? That output you can assign to the variable, and you can use that variable to print that the value of the variable, or we can use it to store this value of the variable in the file, or we can use it this value of the variable in other programmings or other statements. Yeah, so that is overall important technologies. Are you clear with this? So just confirm that. So if you are good with this, or let me know that if you have any queries, questions on this. Okay, good. Seller, fine. Good. So today, what is the agenda? Yeah, so today we are moving into that, learning the Python. So far we didn't discuss that last two classes, anywhere about that, the Python, but just understanding the programming and scripting related technologies. So these points we were concluding, but now this is the time to start the Python. But before starting, so this how do we work with that, or how do we install the Python? So let me discuss that some points on the Python. Quickly to get into that, the Python, about that Python and some history, we just go for that. Yeah, Python program. So if you just, before starting this, if you go for that history, when it was started, so it was in the 1990 by Guido van Rossum. So he was created the Python. So in 1990s, you see that like Java, which was officially launched in 1995. So actual object-oriented programming structure models all have been invented in the 1990s. Yeah, created in 1990 by Van Rossum. And but Python, the point if you would like to understand, Python is having the different versions. That is one important point which we should understand it. Python 2 version and Python 3 version. So 2 versions are available. But the latest, the data science model are like AI, ML, or if you go for the latest frameworks and all that, Python 3 is recommended. Obviously, that is the latest version. So it was released in the 2008. But still, some of the environments, or whenever you are using that, some of the old systems, Linux, the systems, default Python, we will get it with the Python 2 version. Python 2 version, but so we are going to use the latest version, Python 3. So on the base of the environment, yes, which project you are working or which kind of the like functionality you are implementing. So the client specification or project specification based, we need to identify that the first Python version. So is it required that the Python 2 or 3? But as the latest point of view, everything is 3. But maybe if you join there some projects, you will be having the Python 2 as well as. But Python 2 is more simple language compared with that the Python 3. Python 3, yes, it is also simple, but yes, some more frameworks and advanced concepts it has been launched. Yeah, that is about actually 1919 it was started, and 2008 the Python 3 has been yes introduced into the market, and now in the market 3 is the leading, but 2 is the leave it off that. So you don't need to 2 is easy. Whenever you learn that the 3 working, if it is required working on the 2, then it is easy. Yeah, keep that point, but Python 3 give that the high priority. But why does the Python program? So what are like advantages compared with that other programming languages? Yeah, this is specifically designed as an easy to use the language. See, whenever we are writing the program, So the one of the important point is developers should not stress on the programming side. So for him, it should be very easy language. Then he can write that, or he can give that output of this like a functionality. The more compare with that, if the programming language is very hard. Yeah, so this is Python. Simple in terminology, we can say that easy to use it. And why, I mean, what is the main another agenda which they have come up with that with the Python is high focus on the readability of the code. So it is like as a English statements, the which we have that. Yesterday we were understanding add functionality, or like, I mean, English statements, normal statements we have defined. We didn't define any programming over there. Like that, even if you go for the Python, and if you have some basic understanding of the coding, it is very easy, readability of the code. If you go to the Java programming or like .NET programming, so that is some kind of the basic itself, it starts with the class or object. Even if you'd like to print some small statement, you need to define the class, object, a function, so much thing. But in the Python, simple. So Python, I mean, the main point here we can understand is this is the scripting oriented and the programming oriented. 2 points we can understand here. So what is the scripting and what is the programming? We'll come back later. Yes, this is very easy to readability and reusability of the code. There's one more the feature as a developer, whenever we are implementing that the programs. So we should always think about the reusability of the code. Suppose even if you are writing yesterday we were talking about the calculator program. So the program, whatever you are designing that or whatever you are implementing, it should not be only for that particular project or only for that particular module within the project. Maybe yes, different modules of the functionality is only in that particular module. No, it should not be. So you should define that it can be reusable, maybe in that module or other modules, or maybe in other projects, wherever the Python is required. So whenever we are implementing the program, always think about that. How do we reuse it in the multiple environments, development environment, testing environment, production environments? Yes, reusability of the code is very, very important. So always focus on the reusability. But how that would be reusability while implementation of the program will come back. Yeah, there are the features of the Python, the main features. But if you go for the more normal programming, what are the features we have? But yes, the main easy to use it, easy readability, like as a normal program statement. I mean, English statements, how you are going to go through that. The same way we can understand the Python programming, but you need to have some basic knowledge on the Python. That's all. And more reusability. Even any programming language, that is a more reusability. But yes, so here, like as we are saying that the Python can be used to design that the gaming application, or to design that like web applications or automation activities, we are saying this, right? But how that would be, how it has come up with that. So last 20 years of the journey or 25 years of the journey, if you observe the Python, it has provided so many frameworks, so many libraries, which you can reuse it and rebuild it. That is a beauty. Okay, so that is about some brief history and features. Are you clear about that? Type that the history. So 2 points, remember that 1990 and 2008. And 2 versions, Python version 2 and Python version 3. And the features of the Python. So what are those features? The simple and very easy to use it, and reusability, readability. There are some points. Yes, why choose the Python? So they're all helping that, yes, design for clear logical code that is easy to read and learn. And yeah, this is the main point. Lots of existing libraries and frameworks, as we are talking about the reusability. How do we reuse the code? If you are able to convert about your code into as a library, libraries are reusability, or frameworks, which you can import it and you can reuse it. So the beauty of the Python is lots of existing libraries and frameworks written in the Python, allowing users to apply Python to a wide variety of the tasks. Yeah, you don't need to start, suppose, if I would like to design that web application, I don't need to start from the scratch. So we have those ready-made frameworks, which you can import it and you can reuse it. So that is the main beauty. So why choose the Python? Why everyone is looking at the Python? Python is so simple code and more reusability. Already existing libraries, frameworks are available, so which can be reusable. And it focuses on optimizing the developer time rather than a computer's processing time. So this is the main statement. Yes, developers' time, it is going to saving that. So what is that like developers' time saving? So while writing that, the programming, if I'm the developer and if I'm able to design that implementation, the very quickly without having any yes, like the more struggle on that, then we will get that more productivity. That is the main point. Because in the real time, each hour, hourly based, we charge, I mean, we charge that from the client, right? So 10 resources are working, 10 resources turn into like approximately 8 hours or 9 hours, they calculate it. And the client is going to give the billing for it. So time is very, very important. More productivity to bring it, yes, within the less time. So that is beauty of the Python. And a great documentation online. Yes. So this is generic one. So any programming, if you go for the documentation, if you don't know how the developer is going to work it. But documentation, yes. So one point which we can say documentation is also available. And what can you do with the Python? Already we had it, but simply if you go for that, yeah, first we are going to focus on the base Python, that is programming, understanding that. As yesterday we are concluding about that, yes, conditional statements, iterations, functions, methods. How do we import that, like existing libraries or the frameworks? So if you know these basic concepts, later you can apply that these concepts on the base of the framework which you are working at. Yeah, first we need to have the basic base Python, yeah, which consists of the core components of the language and writing the scripts and small programs. So once if you know these things, then on the base of like the Python, which can be used, yeah, so we can use it like outside libraries and frameworks that greatly expand Python's capabilities. Suppose once you know that the Python, so on the base of the requirement, suppose you need to write that AWS related activities using the Python. Yeah, we have the framework that is a Boto 3 or a Troposphere. So if you know that like base Python and whenever you would like to apply to the AWS, and if you know the AWS concepts, we use it, this is the ready-made framework, and we can implement or we can write the code even for AWS activities. Are you getting my points? Or if you're going to work with that other clouds, yes, that's cloud related activities, related framework, you can identify that. That is a beauty, the reusability. You can identify the libraries or frameworks, and we can reuse it, those frameworks, to design that or to implement the functionality. Suppose, as we're talking about it yesterday, automate simple tasks. Yeah, searching for the files and editing them. Yes, we can write as a code. And scrapping information from your website. Yes, like if you need that, like complete website information, with the programming, if you would like to scrap that complete information of the site, yes, we can use the Python frameworks or the modules which are available, and we can get that complete details of the website. and reading and editing the Excel files. Yes, this is very like one of the important activities. So data science, if you are moving that, so extending about it, all these Python functionality to the next level. So how do we read that Excel files, or how do we write the data to that Excel files? So important export functionalities, reading the data and exporting the data. Those activities, PDF files management, these are all important, right? Like suppose if you have the order processing of the application, order processing invoices will be generated in the format of the PDFs. So generating the PDFs, or you need to read the data from the PDF file and you need to store into the database. So the data, whether that is in the Excel files or the data which is in that PDF files, you can manage those activities, reading the data, or writing the data. Yeah, read from the file system and write to the database system. Yeah, so all these kind of activities, if you would like to perform it, yes, we can use the Python. Yes, so automating that, they're sending the emails or text messages. Yeah, these are all important activities. Remember that as a DevOps engineer or AWS cloud engineer, we are going to use the Python to write these kind of activities. Suppose in S3 bucket, like one of the order processed in the S3 bucket, PDF file has been uploaded, invoice related. Then we need to read that PDF file, and we need to store that invoice information, sending that email or sending that like a text message, or we need to store the data in the database about that invoice. How do you perform it? So in the S3, any file is uploaded, that is object is put operation is performed. Then you need to invoke the Python program, which is going to read that PDF file and converting into the data and sending the email or sending the text message or writing the data to that databases, or streaming that data to the different yes, like a CRM application or HR based applications. Yeah, different the components, it can be distribute the data. Yeah, all these activities to perform it, the Python is going to help in that. Yes, this is remember that. So if you are going to mention that as AWS developer or DevOps engineer, so why do we need the Python is these kind of activities to implement it. Are you clear about this? These are like even the data science, if you're moving that, what is the main activity? Excel files, data export, large amount of the data will be on that. And creating the reports, data analysis. Yes, if you're going to use the Python for the data science activities, is nothing but yes, we have some frameworks. So those frameworks are AI, ML related frameworks. You can use it on the base of the requirement, and you can extend that the functionality. Yeah, even I mentioned that point also, data science and machine learning. So analyze the large data files. So create visualizations. Yes, that is so maybe, yeah, I mean, some people you got it like CloudWatch. We were creating the dashboards with runtime information. So visualizations, creating that using the Python. Yeah, perform the machine learning tasks, create and run predictive algorithms. So we have the different the frameworks. So if you know that like the Python basic structure, on the base of about your career, how you would like to move into that, you can learn the frameworks. And you can add those frameworks. So like a data science and machine learning, if you're good with that, or if you'd like to plan it, yes, those kind of the frameworks, you need to add it. Are you getting my point? And you can create websites also. Yes, if you'd like to become the Python, especially the developer. Yes, we have the Django or the Flask. these kind of like frameworks which are helping that to design the website. But if you know that the basic the core components of the Python, then on the basis of about your interest and about your activities, so in the career you can mold into that the path. I mean, that is which path you prefer that. But here we are focusing that as AWS and DevOps, yes, automation activities, yes, automation engineers. That is important in the market. Websites implementation, yes, we have that, like, I mean, that so many resources and so many that's like approaches to implement the websites. The next one is data science and AML. Yeah, if we add it like as we have that like a PG program, in that we are going to talk it that AI and ML related that frameworks which belong to the AWS services. That is some TensorFlow, SageMaker. These are all the frameworks we are going to discuss that. Yeah, so that is about the what we can, I mean, why do we need the Python? So once we understand the base Python and begin working with a few libraries, then you can quickly begin to see that vast potential Python for about our own projects. Yeah, so AWS, we have that so many activities with the Python. With the Python on AWS itself, you can perform that. So many activities, yes, those are all some activities we'll talk in that. Yeah, so that is about the why that the Python. Are you clear about this? So if you are good with that, understanding this importance of the Python, type that the IP, importance of the Python in the chart window. So why everyone is asking that the Python, Python, Python? Now you got the clarity about it. So first, if you are having the generic approach, then you can move into that on the basis of the requirement, adding the some framework, simple. But that's some from framework related, some functions understanding, and how do we reuse that code? How do we import that code? So more reusability if you are working with that, then it is easy. Yeah, good. So now this is the time to move into that. How do we install the Python, or how do we create an environment? Yes, if you're going to implement that any Python commands or the Python statements, first of all, you need to have the Python environment, right? Suppose I need that Word document. Word document, if I need it, I need to have that the Microsoft, I mean, that supported Word document software. Otherwise, I cannot edit that Word document and I cannot use it. So you need to have it Microsoft Office or 365 Office. The same way, the Python we are saying that we will implement it and we'll write it, but we need to install first of all, we need to have the Python environment. Yeah, so we can do that, the Python installation in many ways. There are many ways to install the Python, but yes, but I mean, once you once you install the Python, whatever the concept we are talking that, yeah, you are running that the program is nothing but backend. What it is running is Python interpreter. So if you are once there's a Python program is available or group of statements is available, if you are running the program backend, what's happening that interpreter, Python interpreter is going to read that all those statements and it is going to executing and it is going to give that output of the program. But how do we install is we have the Python distribution and another like a big framework. I mean, there's yes, more reusability frameworks and libraries if you need it. Yes, Anaconda is that one more the important software is available. First, let's talk about it Python distribution. Yes, if you go to the Python, yeah, so this is the official site. Welcome to Python, the organization. Yeah, so here you can find that, about the Python, you can just refer it. Yes, Python is a programming language that lets you work quickly and integrate systems more effectively. And you can get started with that beginner's guide, and you can download the Python, and Python latest version is 3.x. So that is, it is belong to the 3 version. Yeah, 3.12. That is the latest version, and documents are available, and you can find that the Python, from the Python itself, some jobs. Yeah, latest news, whatever the updates they are giving that, or upcoming events. Yeah, refer that, the Python official site. But if you go for this download section, yeah, download the latest version for the Windows. Yeah, so if you have whatever operating system is the Windows, you can find that Windows related distribution, or Linux, or the Mac OS. So which OS you are using, that OS related supported distribution, you can find it, and you can download this distribution, and you can have the Python interpreter. So downloading and installing the Python is nothing but that is a Python interpreter you are going to have it. That interpreter is helping to execute about our Python programs. Yes, if you like to run the programs, Python interpreter is required. But how do you get that Python interpreter is, you can download this Python and you can install it. Yeah, download Python. If you go for this, yes, this is AMD64.exe file. Directly it is downloading. Or if you have the specific version or specific the operating system, then you can go to that the Python releases for Windows operating system. Here I have chosen that Windows as we are going to use that Windows operating system. Or if you have the Mac, you can find that Mac related software. So 3.12 and pre-releases. Yes, there are like R&D kind of. Still, I mean, that means next release, whatever they are going to give it, still they are doing there some R&Ds. So now that stable release, which can be used in the production, that is a 3.12. But if you need it like our development environments or R&D environments, and we have that the pre-releases also, that is a 3.13, 3.13, 0A1, A2, like that. And finally, once this is confirmed, they are going to give that as a stable release. So this is the internal process of the Python. Yeah, you can find that the which version that is required as per that application. Yes, you can find that like a distribution files and you can download it. But as I have chosen the Windows file, but if you need that Mac OS or Linux, so you can find that Mac OS related distribution. Yeah, once it has been downloaded, installation process is that like a common thing. There is no specific points to discuss on it. Suppose once ID has been downloaded, is it downloaded or not? So let me try to download it once again. So it has been downloaded some other place. Or let me open that. So it has been cancelled. Okay, fine. Yes, now it has been downloaded. So let me go ahead and let's start the Python installation. Yes, Windows is stable, try to use it that. Stable always is recommended, which is the production one. And don't use it that like pre-releases. Until if you have the specification in the project, then go for the pre-release. But that's pre-release, we don't apply directly in the production environment. That will be used first in the R&D, research and development. First we do the research on about our project, and if it is supporting and everything as expected, if it is working, then we will take that release into that next level. But pre-releases are not recommended. Go for the stable releases. Yeah, I have downloaded that installer file for that Windows, and now it is asking that in my system that is already installed. So that's why it is asking that the modify or repair or uninstall. Yes, I can uninstall it and I can reinstall it. There are no issues. So here what we are trying to do that we are directly downloading the Python and we are installing the Python on the Windows. This is Python distribution, we'll say that. Yes, I will come to that point as well as, but approaches I'm talking that different approaches you can use it the Python. First approach I'm going to use it that is Python distribution. And second approach, yes, I'm coming to that Anaconda, which you can reuse it that. If you have this already installed, Python with the Jupyter, you can continue. Oh, removing itself, it is taking that much time. Okay, simply you can download that .exe file and go ahead, click on this, double click on it once that's download file is available. So click on it, then which start this installation, yes. So choose this option. This is one important point. So whenever you are installing, add python.exe to the path variable. So choose this option. So what is this option is, so if you add, we know that importance of the environment variables. Maybe you are learning that Linux operating system and setting that environment variables. Yes, we are adding that the Python installer to the path variable. That means I can execute the Python from any directory. Or otherwise we cannot run the Python programs. Yeah, if you'd like to run the python.exe, we need to add to the path environment variable. Choose this option and go ahead where do you want to install it. Yes. So custom installation location, you can specify that, but by default, it is going to take it to users and in the user home directory. So let me go ahead to install that. Yeah, this is the directly downloading the Python distribution and installing that. Even if you have the Mac OS, yes, try to find that the Mac OS distribution, download it and just use that GUI based interface. This is we are using now to install it GUI, graphical user interface. But if you'd like to work with us on the Linux and command line, you can go to that Linux based distribution and you can find that the commands which are required to install the Python. Yeah, even if you go for this is yeah, the Python Linux based and GG file is available. So download the GG file and extract it. So this is in the tarball. Tarball is nothing but tar file. Tar file, how do we extract it? What is the command to extract the tar file? Can you ping this in the chat window? How do we extract the tar file? Yes, tar-xzbf. Yeah, use this link and download it with wget and use it tar-xzbf to extract it. czbf is wrong. czbf, that is to create a tar file. But here you are already downloading that existing tar file. So you need to just extract it. Extracting is X. C for the create. Okay, finally, what did you say in that setup was successful? We are ready to go ahead. Yes, close this. But how do we use this? The Python is. So once the Python distribution is installed, you can open that, the command prompt. Yes, just type the CMD in your the run terminal. Do you see that the run terminal, everyone? Can you confirm that? Can you see that entire screen? Yes or no? I see that some people saying that no, wondering. Yeah, so use it, search options and go for that CMD, and you can open the command prompt, but don't use the git bash terminal here. So use the command prompt. Or if you are using that Mac OS, so open the terminal. Yeah, we know that's like, the commands execution. So, but how do we check it that like a Python is installed or not? So just go ahead and run that Python -version command, -. So this is going to helpful that to know that which version of the Python you have in your system. Python 3.12. Yes, we just installed. Yeah, if you're able to run this command, yes, you are good to go ahead to use the Python. So this is one type of, one way of approach to install the Python. That is a simple programs to implement it, and the normal libraries, basic libraries to work with that. You can use this approach. But if you're going to work with that, like web environments, that is web application implementations, or if you're going to work with that like a data science or AI or ML, so this basic distribution is not enough. This is whenever you are learning the Python, yes, you can use it that. But if you'd like to implement that large applications, or that's like the big data kind of the solutions, then this approach is not recommended. Then what is the second type of approach which we have thus to install the Python? Yeah, that's we say that Anaconda. Another approach which is available is Anaconda. So this is, if you just go ahead like quickly, that's to install the Python, we can use that free individual Anaconda distribution as well as. So what is the advantage of that using that Anaconda is? So this is distribution includes the Python. Yes, we will get it the Python interpreter. And as well as we will be getting about it useful libraries, common libraries in the environment. Libraries are supported files. So we can get it, or we can add that the easy way to, adding the more libraries for about our project. And it is supporting that development environment also. That is Jupyter Notebook environment. Suppose if I use it normal Python distribution. So here, if I would like to implement the Python, I need to use it some text editors, or I need to use it like GUI-based editors. That means we need to install the separate software, third-party softwares. So Python is a separate distribution, and the editor which is required to implement the Python program, yes, you need to have it separate. But if you go for that Anaconda, I will get it both in the single one. So let's search for that Anaconda distribution. On the same system, you can have it Anaconda and as well as normal Python interpreter also, no issues. Yeah, Windows, on the Windows, I have already installed the Python, and I can install that Anaconda also. Anaconda, which is providing that Python interpreter plus IDE, that is development environment. And I'll come back to that development environment, but first to get that, how to get the Python environment in your system? That is main point. Yeah, so you can download that Anaconda. So here you can find that enterprise editions, but enterprise, we don't need that. You can go for that free download. So free download, everything you need to get started in data science on your workstation. Yes, like the latest frameworks which are helping for the data science, AI, ML, all these frameworks and libraries. If you need it, this is the best distribution which you can use it to set up the Python environment. Yeah, free distribution installation, thousands of the most fundamental data structures, data science point of view, AI point of view, ML point of view, the packages ready-made available. But if it's the normal distribution, you need to find it, those libraries, and you need to download it manually. But if I use it, this Anaconda is providing all that set of libraries with ready-made. Yeah, manage packages and environments from the desktop application. Yes, desktop is about our development environment. Yeah, from the development environment, yes, we can manage the packages and deploy across hardware and software platforms. That is the beauty of this Anaconda. So you can download this distribution, or they have given that code in the cloud. Code in the cloud in the sense like if you have this already code, and you can start that like how we are starting that AWS account to get that virtual machines and all that. The simple. So here you can use the cloud environment just to sign up with that the Anaconda, and you can run about your code over there. You don't need to install that Anaconda in your local system. Instead of installing in your local system, and you can use that cloud environment. But we are going to use it in our local system. You see, this file is having this almost 1 GB size, almost 1 GB, which is taking that some time to download it. 1 GB size. Are you clear about that importance of that like type of distributions? So you can go ahead and use it normal the Python installation, or if you need that, or if you're going for that, like more frameworks, more libraries, advanced one, recommended is Anaconda type of the distribution. Anaconda, if you use it, that's already having the Python interpreter it is giving, and as well as it is going to provide that development environment. But Python, if you use it, only the Python interpreter is available, but development environment, you need to have it some different editors like Sublime Text Editor, or you can use a Notepad++, or you can use it Atom, or you can use it Visual Studio Code. That is about your choice. Which one do you want to use it? That is about your choice. Yeah, so has it been downloaded? Let me check it. Still, that is a processing. Yeah, so download this .exe file and just double click it and go ahead. So click on the next with the default options. You can continue. There is no big deal on that installation of that Anaconda. So in my system that is already installed, but I would like to see this. I would like to show that one option during that installation of this Anaconda. So let's wait it. Let's download that. So all these things we are doing that just to have the Python interpreter with the development environment. Are you clear about these points? So meanwhile, type this if you have any queries, questions. So Visual Studio Code is having the more integration, more collaboration with the team. Suppose if you are the developer, you are not only the developer, right? In the team. So you'll be having that like 10 members, maybe 20 members, or maybe 5 members. But all the teams related, the code collaboration is very important. Collaborating with other team members. So that's collaborating with other team members. Visual Studio Code is providing that, like a GitHub integrations. And it is having that more plugins approach or extensions approach. So that is not only just for the Python. Suppose if you are implementing that like AWS related Terraform scripts, yes, you can use the Terraform. Suppose if I use it Anaconda, I can use it only for the Python. No, normal Python distribution, that is, yes, you need to have that like environment where you would like to executing the programs, that is recommended, or running the Python applications. But implementation or a development environment is Anaconda is recommended. So in real time, which one is useful? Is it normal Python distribution or Anaconda? Yes, if you'd like to run the Python programs, you can use it normal Python distribution. But if you'd like to implement it and executing that, then Anaconda is recommended. You got my point? Are you clear about that? Why most of the programmers use Visual Studio Code? Yes, Visual Studio Code is more collaborating with the team members. And it is not just only for the Python. You can use it that even for that Java application, even you can use it for the .NET applications. So different programs which we can they use it, even YAML files implementation, JSON documents. So multi-programming language editor. Okay, so it has been downloaded. Let me start that Anaconda. Yeah, so if you have this already Python environment, you can continue, no issues. But my responsibility is to tell that all the points. So who doesn't have that idea on the Python setup? That's why I'm adding. If others already have the Python environment, you can reuse it and you can continue whatever the approach which you are using that. That is about your choice. So let me start up that installation. Yeah, welcome to Anaconda installation. So that's 2023-09. So in this month, they have released that the latest app. So I have started the 2 installations. Let me cancel one. Yeah. So go ahead with the next and agree that license agreement and use it just me. That is recommended. So if you're going to use it all users in the system, that means like, yeah, so just me go ahead and install it. For all the other users is nothing but same system. If that is using by the different members, then you can use it at this option. But anyway, about our system, we are going to use it just me. And this is important thing. Where do you want to install the Anaconda? So don't use the C drive, go for the D drive, because that is required. You see that space, how much that is required, 5.7 GB. File which you are downloaded 1 GB, and after extracting that or after installation, it is going to have the 5.7 GB that is required. So instead of using the C drive, recommended is use it some D drive or E drive, which you have this in your operating system. You know it, right? How to view that list of all the devices in your system? Yes or no? Or you can browse it. So where do you want to install it? So you can choose that about your drives, the C drive, D drive, E drive, and you can choose it in one of the location and just to specify the path of it. Suppose Anaconda, yes, I would like to use it Anaconda folder and go ahead to the next. And here, yeah, create start menu shortcuts. Yes, go ahead with that. And add Anaconda 3 to my path environment variable. So, so if you choose this option, normally Python distribution we have installed, right? So whenever I try to execute it, what is the Python I'm getting here? Python version. This is normal distribution which I have installed. But during that Anaconda installation, if you have chosen this option, then it is going to overwrite about your local distribution. So whenever you are running the Python, then Anaconda Python, if you would like to use it, but this is going to install that Anaconda Python 3.1, 3.11. So don't use this option. That is, this is the main point I would like to stress it. That's why I started this installation. Otherwise, I mean, this is simple. Go for this next test and specify that installation location and complete it. Yeah, register Anaconda. Already I'm having that like the existing the Anaconda. So yes, you can choose that register Anaconda 3 as my default Python 3.11. Yes, select this option, recommended option, and this one also option selected. This is recommended. So clear the package cache upon completion. Once the installation is done, it is going to clear the package cache. So choose these two options and ignore this option. So these are all the 3 points. Just think about it and go ahead and install the Anaconda. Is it clear that? So once it is installed Anaconda, then your the run command option, you can go ahead like finding that Anaconda navigator. So once installation is done, how you can start up about your navigator is, so start that Anaconda navigator and use that run as an administrator. And confirm that yes. Yeah, so this distribution, it takes some time to launch it because it is having so many libraries and so many frameworks. Why we have the 5.4 GB size? So inbuilt functionalities, it is providing that. Are you following the points? Simple, straightforward. Download that Anaconda and go ahead next. And don't try to install the C drive and go ahead to install the D drive or some other drive because that's required like almost 5.5 GB. But if you have this less space on the C drive, then you will be having the problems. So that's why like recommended is D drive or E drive, use it and install it. Yeah, once the Anaconda navigator has been started, but you need to, I mean, as we're talking that the Anaconda is providing the Python interpreter and IDE, that is development environment also. But how do I use it that? Yeah, so the Anaconda, like which, I mean, IDE environment, if you need it, you can use that Jupyter. So this is a web-based and interactive computing notebook environment. So Jupyter is that, as we're talking about it, IDE, one kind of like web-based interface where you can write or implement about your Python statements or Python programs. Jupyter. So if you launch that Jupyter, so just to click on that, we have some other supported. Spider also you can use it. This is also another kind of the Python development environment. But we are not going to use that like the Spider, and we are going to use the Jupyter. So you see that launch option, you will be having that. Yes, launch that. So before Python interpreter, we are talking that command line, right? Python, if you directly use that, the distribution command line. But if you use the Jupyter, so Jupyter is providing that one web interface. But how do you get that web interface? Now I just clicked on the launch of this Jupyter. But where is this web interface? So actually it has to start it in browser itself. So let's wait it. Yes, it is started in the browser. Automatically it will start in your default browser. Suppose default browser, if it has been set up that Google Chrome, it will use the Google Chrome. I'm using that like in the Firefox. Yes, it is started in the Firefox. That means this is, you see that this is running in the local itself, local host with some port which has been allocated the background. That means Jupyter is the process which is running to provide this interface. That process is providing that this interface. But where I can write it, the Python, the programming. How do you say this is the IDE? Yeah, so whenever we launch the Jupyter, are you clear about that? Anaconda installation, from that Anaconda, Jupyter launching that. So finally, in the Anaconda, we are using the Jupyter to implement the Python programs. But what is the Jupyter? Jupyter is an IDE. Which kind of IDE? This is the web-based interface. Yes, now you see that like this is the web-based interface. Are you following my points? So just type this in the chat window. If you are following that, yes, type the following. Yeah, good to see that. Fine, now let's move into that. How do we use the Jupyter? So finally, Anaconda is providing so many internal that like modules, or we can say the packages or IDEs. So you can work with the Jupyter Lab also, but Jupyter Lab, this is like existing. I mean, if you'd like to practice it, you can use it on the lab wise, but this is recommended, Jupyter Notebook. And yes, you can start the PowerShell prompt, or you can use it the Spider. This is one more IDE, different IDEs. No, don't try to use it all the IDEs. Only go for that. Once the Anaconda has been launched, use the Jupyter. That's all. But what is the Jupyter and how you are going to work with the Jupyter is? Jupyter is one web interface where it is running that as a process background, and you can use it, this URL link, to work with the Python program. Now here you see that. So once, I mean, how do you work with this, or how do you use the Jupyter now? So once it has been started, so here you will see that like a root to directory. So that means like Anaconda where you have installed. So in that installation location, it has been taken that one root to directory has been created. You see that the root, if you know that Linux, is a root to directory representation. And here you can find it all some default files which are available. But if you'd like to create a custom directories, yes, you can go ahead and use that like in the web interface, new option, and you can create a folder like yeah, see the seconds ago it is created one folder, but this is not having any name. But if you'd like to rename this, so you can select that folder and you can go ahead and rename this. And I would like to give that, yes, my Python samples. You can give that some name. And what are the Python, the playbooks you are, I mean, sorry, Python, the scripts which are implementing that, yes, you can keep that in that directory. So what is the directory? My Python samples. You can select it. Now within the root, now we are in this directory. Now here, if you'd like to create about your Python scripts, yes, you can go ahead and a new option, and you can use it that Python 3. But in the Jupyter terminology, we don't say that the Python script, and we call that notebook. So what are the Python script which you are implementing? That file, what do we call it is notebook. This is not the Python terminology, this is the Jupyter terminology. So now in this, my current directory, I don't have those any notebooks. That means, yeah, we haven't created anything. So if you'd like to create that, the Python scripts, yes, you can use that Python 3. As we are talking about it, like Anaconda is having that internal Python interpreter, and as well as Anaconda is given that IDE. Yes, Jupyter is the IDE now I am using. But what are the Python scripts which I am going to implement it? But those Python scripts to execute it, interpreter is required, right? Python environment is required. Yes, whenever I started with the Python 3, that means what I have chosen that here, new option, Python 3. So now it is started in one more window. Now I can implement my Python code here. And I can use it, this Python kernel. That is a Python interpreter. So now in my system, I am having the two Python interpreters. One is directly which I have installed through the distribution. And the second one which I got it that here I can run my Python commands. So this is through the Jupyter. But Jupyter, how we have launched, that is through Anaconda. By using that Anaconda, what is that advantage? You are going to have the Python interpreter and as well as Jupyter IDE, that is development environment. Now you can, so here we say that like the code, whatever you are implementing in the Jupyter, we say that that is a cell. So this is one cell. Suppose if I'm right, if I would like to perform some operation, that is 2 plus 2. Yes. So the where whatever I'm implementing this one, we can say the cell and you can run the program. I mean, cell has been executed. Yes, now we have implemented the Python statement and we have executed that output and we got that output. Now it is started with one more cell. And here you can write it one more statement like a print something. Just we will talk about all these statements later, implementation, but this is how you are going to have the environment. Before going to try to implement the program, first of all, you should have the environment. That is important. Yeah, now I have implemented one more statement. And how do I execute this statement is, you can use it simple, shift enter. Shift enter, the shortcut key, or you can just go to the cell option and you can run the cell by using that control enter. To execute this program, you can use it the run option, but instead of using the run, I can use it control and enter, which is executing that current cell. Control enter. But if I would like to execute this command and I need to have one more shell, one more cell, then you can use it shift enter. So you can find that those shortcuts, shift enter, run cells and select below. Run cells and insert below. So alt enter. There are some commands, shortcuts which you can find it. So these are like a cell where you can write that the statements of the Python. That means Python scripting. But the enter keyword, if I use it enter, what's going to happen? That I can run it one more statement. Print something, welcome to Python. And how do I execute it? You can use it control enter. Now you see that print is like as echo command in our Linux. Echo, that is a printing the string or that the variable values to the console. Yeah, so Jupyter, this is the advantage. Now you see that we are implementing the statements here and we are getting the immediate output here. So during the development environment, so as a developer, whenever you are implementing and after implementation, if you like to see that output immediately, you can use the Jupyter. Suppose you are implementing that like the PDF files reading and writing the data. But if you go for this normal programming or normal interpreter, so executing the program, what is the output it is giving? So there's some kind of like additional effort is required. You can do that, but additional effort is required. But if I use the Jupyter, I'm defining the statements here and I'm executing that the command with the Python interpreter. Yes, this is the Python interpreter. And I'm able to see that output of these statements here itself. That is the beauty of this Jupyter. During that implementation or while learning time of the Python, Jupyter is recommended. But once if you have that all these the Python scripts and Python programs, So executing the Python point of view, you can use the normal interpreter. Are you clear at this point? Are you good with this Jupyter? How do you use it? Yes, you can use it any editor. Doesn't matter that. Yes, execute the command and see that instant output. Suppose same thing if I would like to perform that's in the normal distribution. Suppose this is a normal distribution, right? Now I would like to run these same statements here. So whatever we are trying to use it that in the Jupyter, but in the normal distribution, how do I use it that? So here you need to use that the Python shell. So how do you get it? The Python shell is just run the Python. Now you see that. So I mean here this is not about your command prompt. This is about your Python command prompt. SQL command prompt. How we have to run that SQL commands, or Linux terminal. How do we have that to run that Linux commands? Now whenever I run the Python, I got it that the Python interactive interpreter. So here I can run the commands. So that is a 2 + 2 operation. Yes, I got it that output here. The same Jupyter, whatever we are using. Yes, you can try to use it that here also. The print, the hello. Yes. Or welcome to Python. Output is the same. So which one you are using, that is about your choice. Yeah, this is the command line interface I'm using that. I'm executing the command here, I'm getting the output immediately. But Jupyter is also doing the same thing, right? But this is the GUI based. Are you getting the points about it? Output is the same. The same here, but here I'm using that MyPython interpreter, which I have installed through the Python distribution. But here with Anaconda, whatever the Python interpreter I got it, that's I'm using that. While downloading this Anaconda, you can find that the Python supported the version, and you can use it that. That is while downloading, you can find that. But this is the approach. But once if you execute it, but in the normal command prompt, that's mean one more difference to understand it. Normal command prompt, I'm just executing this command and I'm seeing that output. But if I would like to execute the sequence of the statements, I cannot use it this interpreter, this one here, right? So here print is one statement, and print, yes, another print is, there are the two different commands. But here in the Jupyter, these are two statements I'm executing with a one interpreter, one time. So if I run it, these two commands are executing that. But in the command line, I cannot execute like this. So one line of the code or command, if you would like to execute it, you can use the command line Python interpreter, CLI approach. But as we are talking about it is scripting. Scripting is sequence of the statements. A sequence of the statements to implement it and to see that immediate output of it, Jupyter is recommended. Are you good with this? Now these Jupyter files, you can save it. Yes, you can rename this file like saying that this is my first program. You can give some name for it. Yes, now this will be saved. Where it is going to saving that? So where it is saying this? Already we have started in that like my Python samples is the directory, and here we have created the new file, right? Yes, now in my Python samples directory, I got it my Python program. But if you see that this extension is, what is that extension that is having? IPython notebook, NB notebook, PyPython, IPython notebook. That is a file extension of this Jupyter files. So if you see this any file extension which is having that IPynb, you can use it these files to execute it only Jupyter. You cannot use it normal Python interpreter. So what is the extension of that? The Jupyter notebooks? What is the extension of the Jupyter file? I mean, Jupyter Python files? Python notebook, IPyNB. Normal Python script. Suppose here, I mean, yeah, okay, let me close this Python. So that's like, yeah, you can run this Python, you can edit at any time, and you can add this, the script blocks. So these are all like, you can save it. You see that you can save it and you can reuse that. And Jupyter, one more beauty, what do we have is, it is helping that not only just implementing the code. Suppose here I would like to write some documentation. Yes, you can change here code to that markdown, MD files. That means here you can write some, so whatever that activity you have done, that activity related documentation. So we have used print statements. So this is not the code now. This is not the code. This is about your documentation. The parallelly you can do that. Yes, here you are running about your the Python code. So if you see this square brackets representation, this is the code. Yes, you see that whenever I whenever I hold my mouse here, then this is the code. But a markdown, you don't see that like square brackets. This is about your documentation. That means you can implement the program, and parallelly, if you like to distribute this program to that others, yes, you can write documentation of it. That is the beauty of this Jupyter. But in the normal Python, no, you cannot do that like markdown options. Yeah, you would like to run this one as a code, or do you want to run that as a markdown, or do you want to define that the heading for it? So Jupyter is helping to prepare the documentation. That's why we say that this is for development environment or learning time, which you can use it. You can write the documentation of it, and you can run the program, and you can see that output. And after that, you can start that one more heading, and you can run about the playbook. I mean, that is not playbook. Playbook is Ansible concept actually. I'm keep on getting that. Yes, you can run about your notebook, and you can playbook notebook. A notebook is in the Python Jupyter. Playbook is that is in the Ansible of the DevOps. Anyway, good. So that is about how do we use the Jupyter to run my Python statements, or how do I use it, the normal Python interpreter to run my Python command line interface. But here on this, the Python environment, can I use it normal Python program, Python scripts? Suppose here are two statements we have defined in one cell, 2 or 3, you can define it number. This is about, you can write it the sequence of the statements which are required to perform the particular activity. So Jupyter is supporting this. In the cell, you can write it. But in the normal, the Python environment, how do I can define it? Suppose these two statements, I'd like to implement as a Python script. How do I do that? Yeah, in the normal distribution, if you're not using Anaconda with the Jupyter, so then you can use it any one of the editor. So as we are talking about it, you can use it Atom editor, or you can use the Sublime text editor, or you can use it Visual Studio Code editor. That is about your choice, whatever you prefer it, as you can try to use it. Suppose here I'm going to use it that Atom editor, or you can use it Sublime text editor, or normal Notepad, or Notepad++. But these editors are not specific to the Python, right? These are all like generic editors. You can create a text files, you can create SQL files, you can create Python files, or you can create YAML files. These editors are the generic. Suppose those two statements, if I define it here, and if I save this file, Control S, And if I use it some directory, let me take it that, okay, I'm going to use it some desktop, okay, whatever it is. Or instead of using the desktop, let me go to the D drive. I'm going to choose that D drive and I have that workspace. So here I'm just creating one Python directory. So that is about your choice. Where do you want to save this file? That is about your choice in your system. You can use, but don't use the desktops under documents. So use that. So take it one D drive or E drive and create one workspace folder or project some name. Yeah, the Python samples, I have given the name. And I'm going to save it in this directory. This is my first program, some name. But what is the extension here? Jupyter notebooks are having that IPynb. But normal Python scripts extension is .py. So that is the beauty of if you are using this normal text editors. So it supports all the file extensions, right? So Atom or Sublime text editor or Visual Studio Code editor. So if you are using any editor, so that is about your choice. Whatever you are comfortable with that, you can use it. So here extension, I'm using that .py. Now, after saving this file as a .py, you see that color has been changed. Before it was something like normal, everything normal text format, but now print is in the blue color and some like whatever the text message which you are given that is in the green color. That means now editor has been identified. This file is a Python file. Or understand the point of this. So that is a normal editor. But Jupyter, if you are using, is nothing but Jupyter by default it is Python editor. But Atom or Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text Editor or Notepad, if you are using, these are all supporting for that file extension, any file extension. But yes, so on the base of the file extension which are using that, these editors are automatically identifying that about your code, and these are all helping that to implement that particular programming. Yes, now I have my Python program, but how do I execute this Python program? So we have this distributor, right? Now exit from this. Now we are in that within the Python shell. Now I have exited. So now I have the Python program. So where is the location? So I'm in that in my D drive workspace Python samples. Let's go to the directory. We know the CD directories and all that. Yeah, let's go to that the D:/ and here workspace, and within the workspace Python samples. Okay, first let's go to the D drive. Yeah, now I'm in this directory. Now if I see this, what is my present directory? I'm in the Python samples. So here ls command doesn't work it. You need to use the dir command. So in the Linux, we use that ls command. In the Windows operating system, we use the dir command. CD options, that is same thing. Changing the directories like Linux, whatever you are learning, same you can use it. But if you'd like to see that the files and the folders in the current directory on the Windows, you need to use the dir command. Yes, this is a Python program which is available. And now you can run this Python program. But how do I run the Python program? Normally, how we are getting the Python interpreter? By just executing the Python, right? This is a command line interface. But now I have the file to execute it. So use the Python and pass the Python script name, which is the .py extension. Now I see that we got it the same output. in the Jupyter, whatever the two statements we are executing that in the notebook, but notebooks are recommended as like data science and AI or ML as advanced the frameworks or libraries. If you would like to use it, Jupyter is recommended. Don't try to use it this kind of approach, because you need to set up the so many that libraries. But if you use the Jupyter, the by default it is providing that libraries, or you can add it external libraries. That's will come back later. So the for simple programs and normal like the basic things whenever you are learning, you can use it this approach. But the notebooks is the famous now. Jupyter notebooks is the current like environments they are using that in the development. Are you clear now? So normal distribution, the script based and CLI. So here, how do we use the CLI in the normal distribution? Just run that Python. Now here you can run that. This is normal distribution with the CLI. But from the CLI, how do you exit it? Use the exit command. But you have the Python script. How do we run the Python script? But Python scripts which are in the PY extension. Then how do we run the Python scripts? Python and the script file name. So specify the path and complete a .py file script. Yes, you can run the Python scripts. But Jupyter based, yes, open that the Jupyter editor, and you can write that about your the Python statements, and you can execute about your scripts. But how do you execute it? So here that the cell block is, you can use it Control Enter. Now I see that we got the print commands and as well as, so that's arithmetic operation, whatever I'm performing that. But this arithmetic operation yesterday, whatever we're talking, this is static, right? I just defined 2 plus 2. Always whenever I execute the 2 plus 2, I will get it. This static approach, but yes, we'll come back to that variables and all that, the one by one. But first of all, how do we have the environment? That is important. If you have that environment, then you can do that R&D and you can do the practice on it, and you can go ahead to the next level. This is about setting the Python environment with Anaconda or with a normal distribution. So try both. But if you have this already, the practicing with that any one of that environment, use it. The final year, that is about your choice. But Jupyter notebooks are the current market trend. Are you clear about these points? Okay, so good to see that all the responses. So now that's like, anyway, I'll come back in the classes, but meanwhile, what you can do is I will assign this one course, which is having that, especially non-programmer, if you are the non-programmer. So start this Python course. So which is having the step-by-step explanation about that expressions, variables, loops, for loop exercises, introduction to methods, method with parameters, without parameters, importance of indentation, named parameters. Yes, there are some important concepts that have been explained as the basic level from starting, line by line code execution. But it's going to have this approximately 2.5 hours or 3 hours, not more than that, this entire course. But in the classes, yes, I go for that, the high level talking about it, all these variables, concepts and expressions, whatever we have, yes, I will talk it. But programmer point of, if you are the non-programmer and if you are the first time starting about this, my suggestion is start about this course immediately. and continue like understanding that each and every the statement or the keywords about the programming, just go ahead. One multiplication table, it has been taken. That multiplication table, how do we start it from the basics to the dynamic approach? How do we manage it? That is, it is explained in this example. But in the class, yes, I will give all these concepts. But before coming to the class, even like programmers also, you can go ahead one more time quickly. If you know already the Python also, go ahead one more time and quickly. So, and come back to that. Parallelly continue this course and come to the classes as well as. So here I have explained that one more editor, PyCharm IDE. Yeah, I will use it, that one also in the next some classes. Instead of using that like Atom and all these, Python specific development environment, development editor, Jupyter, how we are using. Suppose normal .py scripts, if I would like to implement it, Jupyter Notebook doesn't have that. So we can use it Python specific IDEs like a PyCharm or Spider. Spider is a Python development environment. Yeah, I'll come back to this one more editor and Visual Studio Code also. I will share it one video. If you have this interest, you can learn it, the Visual Studio Code. So, but don't worry about it, multiple all these editors. So be strict to that, the one or two on the base of the client, whatever he's going to use it. You need to learn obviously, but from about outside, which editor you are using that, you should be able to tell it. That could be PyCharm, or if you're good with the Visual Studio Code, you can say that Visual Studio Code. Or if you're using the Jupyter, yes, you can say that the Jupyter. But one editor which we should know, but once you join to the project on the base of the client, yes, you should learn about that editor. But Python is the universal concept. Which editor you are using doesn't matter that. Is it clear to everyone? Yeah, both are almost the same. PyCharm and Visual Studio Code, almost, I mean, they're all the same categories. But Visual Studio Code, you can use it for that like a Terraform, multiple programming languages it supports. But PyCharm is especially for the Python development. Only Python you can use it. But Visual Studio Code, I can use it for the Java to implement it, or I can use it YAML to implement it. I can use it like Terraform scripts to implement it. That is multiple files it supports it. Okay, so good. So start this program in this course, which has been already assigned to you all. So go ahead parallelly and join the classes parallelly. So especially non-programmer, you need to do that in the 2 or 3 approaches. So go to this course and as well as, so work with that, the examples which I'm going to talk it in the classes as well as. In the class, I go for the eye level, but in that course, it has been given the detailed with words and everything. But in the class, if you go like this, it takes more time. But I have given the course. Yes, you can continue with that. Yeah, finally, once this Jupyter, the program has been used, you just shut down this program. But how you can shut down the program is, so you see that's once that's like, I mean, this is the program which I implemented, notebook. Suppose if it is keep on up and running, it is going to use the system resources. The backend Jupyter is running, and these files are running is nothing but it is going to use that some amount of that system resources. So just to shut down it. Now it is not going to use it any resources, and whenever you need it, you can come back and you can run this and you can edit it and you can start with that. You can go to that and you can start running the cell, which is going to create the background process. So that is one more option. So in the notebook, which you need to understand is, so once these notebooks have been used, so go for that, shutting down that. Is it clear? So default, you will be having the root to directory. But if you need the specific directory, yes, create a directory and go for that implementing all about your notebooks. And if you don't want this directory, yes, you can go back and you can delete. So you can select it and you can delete this folder. Yeah, that is about Jupyter Notebooks understanding. Fine, good. So that is about today. So what about tomorrow? So are you available, everyone? So we have that election something, right? Any issues or anything? Is it okay to attend that?